Marvel's leak meta marketing is working so well, it's backfiring on the one thing we're all waiting for, a clean Doctor Doom reveal. The rumor mill says Sadie Sink is still locked in as a mutant for Spider-Man, and that the Punisher ends up saving Peter Parker from an outright death moment. The Doomsday teaser train has finally put the whole superhero ecosystem into fifth gear again, and it's spilling over into DC headlines too. But DC is DC. Different rules, different weather. Big question, does James Gunn pull himself out of the mess, or does the next wave of execs decide he's the first one to go? Tell me what you're expecting down in the comments. What's up? It's Lord of Leaks. Hit that like button to keep the channel alive, and let's get into it. The Steve Rogers Doomsday teaser did something wild. In just 12 hours, it surpassed the entire lifetime performance of the Captain America 4 trailer. The message is painfully clear. New Marvel wasn't moving people, but the second the old era shows its face, the audience comes sprinting back. Now here's the catch. The same chatter also claims Steve won't actually reclaim the Captain America title through Doomsday. He's just Steve. Mackie keeps the official mantle. And yeah, ironically, that's bad for us, because insiders say Marvel saw the numbers and immediately started reshuffling the promo plan. So listen, stick around to the end, because this is where it matters. Supposedly, the Doctor Doom teaser gets pushed later. The logic is simple. If Cap alone can generate this level of hype and the movie is still a year away, Feige can stretch the rollout and keep people starving. So the Downey Jr. piece slides further down the calendar. The upside is they're swapping in mutants earlier. Current rumored order looks like Thor teaser, then the X-Men teaser, then Thunderbolts, then Fantastic Four and Namor. The mutant spot is said to feature Cyclops, Professor X, and Monica Rambeau, which instantly signals how central the mutant world is going to be. And apparently, Marvel has teaser cuts ready for basically everyone who still matters. Sam Wilson, Shang-Chi, Falcon, but they're still debating the sequence, and some might never get released publicly at all. The X-Men one, though, sounds close to guaranteed, because 3 teasers have already been classified for theatrical showing on the BBFC site. We've seen 2, meaning the third is almost certainly the mutants. And the reports on content are genuinely promising. The teaser supposedly frames Cyclops as the team's true leader, something the Fox films never fully committed to. James Marsden is back, and if Marvel is putting him in the same teaser tier as Cap and Thor, they're not bringing him in just to delete him in the first 20 minutes, which means the mansion fight won't be his only moment. The mutants, and Scott specifically, should have real weight in Doomsday. Final point. After the Kang Dynasty plan got scrapped, insiders claim Doomsday didn't just get minor tweaks, it got major rewrites. The earlier version allegedly treated Kang Dynasty as its own story that only loosely set up Secret Wars. Now, it sounds like they're welding everything together into a direct line toward the endgame. So yeah, here's the slightly depressing part. Doomsday, from what we're hearing, is pulling its DNA from the Incursion buildup that led into Secret Wars 2015. But the actual Secret Wars movie is leaning on the older blueprint, the 1984 run. And if you know those two versions, you already feel the problem. Without getting lost in comic plot weeds, we broke those down in other videos. The gist is simple. Doomsday borrows the best idea from 2015, worlds colliding, reality-on-reality car crashes, the multiverse eating itself. But then the follow-up shifts to the 84 template, and that one is, let's be real, smaller, cleaner, and way less insane than the 2015 monster event. Battleworld is thinner, the scope is tighter, and instead of a massive multi-title saga, you're looking at a story that originally ran like 12 issues, not 200. It's a bummer, but it's also kind of inevitable. Marvel spent the entire multiverse saga barely bothering to properly seed a bunch of distinct universes, so now they don't have the same giant toy box the 2015 version had. That's why it looks like the Russos might be forced to work with a cut-down Secret Wars framework, and that, sadly, kills the dream scenario where the next Marvel era becomes one long escalating Secret Wars mega-saga. Still, I'm not burying the hope, because if they somehow pull it off, it would be disgusting levels of hype. Now, Spider-Man. And you can't make this up. Insiders have done another full 180 on Sadie Sink. Total Ouroboros energy. The rumor cycle literally loops back to the start. The Jean Grey theory is back on top again. The spark this time is a supposed plot leak claiming her character has straight-up mind control powers. And the Shathra angle? The rumor says Marvel basically seeded that themselves online. Not because it's true, but because it's useful misdirection. Which honestly tracks, especially after the Mysterio situation. Everybody called the twist still happened, the movie still printed money, and yet the "yeah, but we all knew" feeling never went away. Same vibe here. Sadie just looks like a Jean Grey casting that Marvel would make. So the claim is, Shathra was the smoke bomb, Jean is the fire. And that also supposedly explains why Doomsday isn't bringing back Famke Janssen or Sophie Turner, because they want a fresh Jean, and they want her tied to Spider-Man's lane. The extra spice? She allegedly won't be presented as nice, soft, or heroic. The word is she's connected to Scorpion and other villains breaking out of prison, meaning Feige might be taking his swing at Jean Grey as a problem, not Jean Grey as a saint. And there's one more thing that's pure fan service pain. Insiders say we're also getting that iconic comics moment where the Punisher is literally carrying a dying Spider-Man. In the original, it was Civil War fallout. Peter clashes with Tony, bolts from Stark Tower, get hunted down, shot up by S.H.I.E.L.D., ends up crawling into the sewers, and then a second wave of Predators jumps him while he's barely standing. And right when it's about to be over for him, Punisher shows up. And in that storyline, the bad guys don't get a redemption arc. They get two clean holes where their eyes used to be. Frank straight up saves Peter by dragging him to Cap's underground safe spot for emergency treatment. In the comic, it was Jane Foster patching him up, but the word is the movie swaps that for Claire, the night nurse from the Daredevil corner of the universe. And I'm sorry, that kind of small, nerdy, connective tissue is exactly what the MCU has been starving fans with. If that scene actually makes the final cut, it's a win. And it also fits what Holland's been teasing. This Spider-Man isn't doing prom jokes anymore. He's older, rougher, and the world around him is meaner. Which is funny because across the street, James Gunn's DC is eating the opposite problem. Since the Supergirl trailer landed, it's been getting cooked online for feeling like Guardians again, just with a different logo. And then you've got the extra chaos, rumors that Netflix could end up buying WB, and a lot of people are calling that a nightmare scenario for Gunn. Netflix loves volume, constant output, lots of titles, lots of characters, and one mega movie every couple of years isn't how they play the game. The chatter is Gunn won't get fired, but he'll get nudged, delegate more, direct less, act like a studio head. Because if DC only drops 3 major films in 5 years and Gunn directs 2 of them, that's not a universe, that's a personal playlist. Feige doesn't even direct at Marvel, he just runs the machine, and WB might want Gunn in that lane too, especially if they're trying to pick a real fight with Disney again. They're already posturing. WB reportedly refuses to move Dune 3 from December 18, 2026, which is the same date Doomsday is slated. And they're basically saying, we claimed it first, you move. So congratulations, we're about to get the Barbenheimer sequel nobody asked for, Doomsday. Simu Liu even joked about it publicly. Now look, the result feels obvious on paper. Nostalgia is Feige's nuclear weapon, but if you genuinely think Dune can pull an upset, I want to hear the argument. And speaking of nostalgia, right after that Doomsday teaser hit, Jeremy Renner randomly reappeared like a summoned NPC, reposting the trailers like he's on a call sheet, and he's hinting Hawkeye could be back within the next year or two. Renner basically admitted he could have come back sooner, but Marvel and he couldn't line up on the money for Hawkeye Season 2, and on top of that, his health just wasn't there yet. Now he's doing the opposite, repeating that he's ready and telling fans to warm up for the return. And speaking of returns, let's complain properly about Steve Rogers, because his comeback drags an old 2019 headache back into the spotlight. When Cap took the Infinity Stones back and decided to stay with Peggy, even Marvel never gave a clean answer. What past did he actually choose? Did he branch reality and create a new timeline, or did he slide into the past of the main MCU somehow? Marcus and McFeely have argued for years that it's the main timeline, with the other Steve still frozen in the ice, so in their minds it's tidy. The Russo brothers, meanwhile, went on record in the digital commentary saying the exact opposite. Steve's choice caused a branch, an alternate reality where he lives out his life with Peggy. Endgame closed the Infinity Saga, so everyone shrugged and moved on, and the canon stayed annoyingly undefined. But Doomsday won't be able to dodge it because Steve is back, and the bigger problem, he has a kid. If the teaser really puts Rogers' storyline in the 1960s, then in present-day MCU, that child should exist and be grown enough to matter. So where the hell has he been? Marvel has 2 options, and both are messy. Either they hand-wave it with Cap's son has been staying out of the spotlight by choice, or they commit to the alternate reality version where Steve and Peggy lived in a separate branch. But that second option detonates an ethical bomb because it implies Steve knew Hydra's future games and the suffering coming, yet still chose early retirement and domestic peace. And that's not very Steve Rogers, let's be real. The guy we know doesn't watch evil load in like a slow-moving train and then go, well, not my shift. And if he did create a branch, why didn't the TVA jump him for messing with the so-called sacred timeline? Either way, the math isn't mathing, and the questions outnumber the answers. My take? Marvel will pick the cleaner route. Steve and Peggy lived in the past of the main timeline, but then they still have to explain the kid, and that's where the story can either become genius or pure chaos. Imagine the troll-level twist if that child ends up tied to Spider-Man's mythology, Uncle Ben, Peter's father, something like that. The kind of reveal that either makes theaters erupt or makes the whole thing faceplant because the gamble was too wild. So what's your bet? Main timeline past or alternate branch? And how do you think Marvel is going to sell it without breaking Steve as a character? Drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe, and I'm out. New video tomorrow.